She caught her pastor stealing money from the church offering box and decided to confront him. But this happened. Let's dive into the story. It was a typical Sunday morning at Kingdom of Grace Ministries in Lagos. The church auditorium buzzed with worshippers singing and dancing to the choir's lively praise. Nkechi, a devout church member and treasurer of the offering committee, stood near the offering box, keeping an eye on the collections. For months, the church finance had been inexplicably dwindling. Despite consistent donation, the church struggled to meet its expenses. Nkechi, a meticulous and observant woman in her late 30s, began to suspect foul play. That money is not adding up, she murmured to herself after the service, checking the financial record in the small church office. Where could it be going? One evening, after a midweek service, Nkechi stayed back to organize the offering record. She noticed Pastor Ezekiel, a charismatic man in his early 50s, and the church founder lingering near the offering box. "Good night, Pastor," she called out, ready to leave. "Good night, my daughter," he replied with his usual warm smile. But his eyes darted nervously. Nkechi felt a pang of suspicion and decided to hide behind the office door. Minutes later, she saw Pastor Ezekiel unlock the offering box with a key he had secretly snatched. He pulled out wads of cash, stuffing them into a black bag. Nkechi's heart pounded as she silently watched. "Is this where the money has been disappearing to?" she whispered under her breath. Gripping her phone lightly, she quickly recorded the scene, determined to confront him. The next day, Nkechi approached Pastor Gideon in his office after service. What a brave woman. "Good afternoon, Pastor," she said, her tone firm. "Ah, Sister Nkechi, what brings you here?" he asked, his tone cheerful but laced with unease. "I saw what you did last night," Nkechi began, placing her phone on the table. "I have proved." Pastor Ezekiel's face darkened. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice low. "You stole money from the offering box," Nkechi said bluntly. "This is God's money, Pastor. How could you?" For a moment, there was silence. Pastor Ezekiel's heart shattered. "You don't understand," he snapped. "Do you think running a church is easy? The bills, the donation to members, my family's needs. Do you know the pressure I am under?" "So you steal from the church?" Nkechi retorted, her voice shaking with anger. "I did not steal," he backed. "I borrowed it. I plan to return it." Nkechi left the office, shaking but determined to expose the truth. She decided to share the video with the church elders, but that evening, Pastor Ezekiel called an emergency meeting. Standing at the pulpit, he addressed the congregation. "My dear church family," he began, "it has come to my attention that some people in our midst are plotting to destroy this ministry." What a smart guy. "One of our elders," he continued, looking at Nkechi's direction, "has accused me of stealing from the church. But I assure you, this is a misunderstanding. I have always acted in the church's best interests." Nkechi stood bluntly. "That's not true, Pastor. I saw you take money from the offering box with my own eyes." The congregation gasped, and several members turned to her in disbelief. Pastor Ezekiel smiled. Do you have proof? He asked, smiling. Yes, I do, Nkechi said, holding up her phone. But when she played the video, it was blank. The file was gone. What a smart pastor. Nkechi's blood ran cold. It was here yesterday, she stammered. I recorded it. You see? Pastor Ezekiel said, spreading his arms. Satan is using lies to divide us. The elders pulled Nkechi aside after the service. Sister Nkechi, Elder Johnson said, do you realize the gravity of your accusation? Without proof, you are tarnishing the reputation of a man of God. I know what I saw, Nkechi insisted, tears streaming down her face. Days later, a church worker named Fumi approached Nkechi in private. Sister Nkechi, she whispered, I believed you. I have noticed things too, but I have been too scared to speak up. Together they decided to dig deeper. Fumi revealed that Pastor Ezekiel often sent him to withdraw money from the church account, claiming it was for charity, but the amount never matched the expenses. One night, Fumi managed to retrieve a backup copy of the phone from Nkechi's cloud storage. Amid with the evidence, they called a secret meeting with the elders. During the next Sunday service, Elder Johnson interrupted Pastor Ezekiel mid-sermon. Pastor Ezekiel, we need to address something. The congregation watched as the elders presented the video. Gaps filled the room as the evidence played on the projector. Pastor Ezekiel tried to defend himself. It was for church survival. I've never meant to hurt anyone. But the damage was done. The elders voted to remove him as pastor and reported the thief to the authorities. The church began the painful process of rebuilding its trust and finance. Months later, Kingdom of Grace Ministry had a new pastor, and the congregation slowly healed. Nkechi remained a leader, respected for her courage in confronting Pastor Ezekiel. Wow, honestly, I must confess, Nkechi is really brave. It takes courage to confront an head pastor in a church. What's your thought on this story? Let me know in the comment section. And please don't forget to subscribe if you're watching from my YouTube channel. If you're watching from any of our social media and do Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. If you're not following, please follow. If you're following, make sure you like, comment, and share.